Hey folks, good morning. Third time in a row that I'm managing to stream. I'm happy with that. How is everyone? Say hi in chat if you're here. It's always good to know who's watching. I really want to have a conversation with all of you this morning, folks. So if you're able to pop out the chat somewhere and interact a little bit, that would be super cool. Hello, Joris. Good morning, Sam, as well. Glad you're here. So I'll still have to share some stuff on social media actually. So let's actually do that together. We're live. Let's go. We're live. Please come. I won't be so desperate. Come join. Yep, that should work. So maybe before diving into my subject of the day, and while we're still waiting for people to coming in, the partial function RFC, folks, the thing I talked about for a couple of times before, it's happening. It's coming to 8.6, which is really cool. It's it will make the pipe operator a lot more useful. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know what partial function application is about, let me quickly show you once again. So we got the pipe operator just recently, 2 weeks ago in PHP. And unfortunately, you have to write this very clunky syntax if you want to pipe stuff to functions that take more than one argument. And so with partial function application, you'll be able to get rid of all of this. Ooh, yeah. And just write this. I think it's a question mark, right? Over here. Hang on. Yeah, it's a question mark. Okay. So yeah, that's gonna be really cool, because if you let me copy that sample once again. This is a lot better, I find, at least. So I'm super happy with that. It's coming to PHP 8.6, so we'll have to wait for another year, almost another year. Which, okay. Would have been nice to get this in 8.5 as well. And I'll have to read through the full RFC at one point also. It's an RFC by Larry, so it's a good chunk of reading, basically. But it's gonna be nice. Larry then also made another RFC, pattern matching RFC, and he's been working on this since 2022, since 2020. And I haven't read through this at all yet, but it is also quite lengthy, and I think many people are excited about this. I think I will be too, but again, I'll have to read through the whole RFC because there is a lot to understand here, and we'll see how it turns out. It's it sounds like a very good feature as well. So, okay, folks, who's here in chat and wants to... Actually, I have the chat over here that I can show to all of you. Say hi in chat if you're here. That way I know you're listening. Hello. Modestus is here. That's nice. Oh, actually, I had to share it on Discord as well. Come join. Oh, I already shared it. We're live. Now I need to. Hey Sam again. Okay. Oh no. Yeah, window management. And Guillaume, you're here as well. That's nice. Hey, good morning. Actually, maybe I should zoom this in a little bit. So the reason I'm having the chat out here, well, Twitch is usually a bit less active, but Trust me, I'm a professional here. Uh, the reason I have the chat out here is because I just want to sit down and talk and rant for a bit. So yeah, let's just see. Well, rant. No, rant is not the right word, but it's a really, I don't know. There are some thoughts I need to share, and I hope some people will give some input as well. So if you have thoughts to share, leave them in the chat, and then I'll try to react to them. So 2 weeks ago, story time. 2 weeks ago, I went to a meetup, 2 meetups actually, and I was speaking there, doing a talk about about my book, kind of, but then also about some of the feelings I have with all the AI changes that are happening over the past 2 years. Wow, the chat is gonna really be distracting. I already noticed that. So I'm gonna try to gather my thoughts. So I talk about the things how our industry is changing because of AI, and how I deal with that change, basically. And I think it's a really interesting talk. I'm going to give it at some more meetups as well. And then probably in a couple months, I will make a video about it also. But first, I want to go to some more meetups, maybe submit it to some conferences. I really like it. Now, the thing is, at this one meetup in Antwerp, there was a group of students there. We were at a university. And I think it was around 15 students or something that were joining as well, on top of all the other people, just professional PHP developers mostly. And I was talking about how, vibe coding is affecting our industry, and then how I deal with that. And all these students, they started laughing. Now, these are our second year computer science students. As far as I understood, they do focus on front-end development, like JavaScript, web, stuff like that. And they started laughing during my talk because I mentioned vibe coding. And so I asked them what they were laughing about. Yeah, we recognize this, they said. So I continued my talk, but afterwards we had this discussion about it. So I just joined them, and I asked them, okay, can you share a little bit more about how you are using AI in your studies, right? And this is what stood out. All of them, or maybe all of them, but the vast majority of them told me they don't really write code anymore at all. They were working on this project for a Christmas card generator, something like that. And it had to integrate, as far as I understood, it had to integrate with some APIs where they could send their Christmas cards that they designed on a web page to the post office, and they got sent out. Something like that. And they vibe coded the whole thing. They didn't understand what was going on. They ran into some issues, and the project was blocked, basically. They weren't able to figure out how to solve them because everything was just generated by AI. And they were stuck, and their project was due in a couple of weeks. And so they had to start over again and try to either vibe code their way into a solution once more, or they should just properly write the code. But they didn't feel like they wanted to do that. They told me it was more fun to let AI solve all their problems. Well, the problem was that it didn't really lead to a working project. But yeah, and so I asked them in their perception or what their expectation was from the real job market, right? Do they think they were going to work at companies where they would make broken Christmas card generators all the time, or whether they would need some more in-depth knowledge? And if it was one person that was totally on the vibe train, I wouldn't pay too much attention. But almost all of them were we have no clue what our future looks like, and for now it's just much more easy, much more easy to rely on agents. And have them do the work for us, and we don't understand it anymore. And I was that was mind-boggling to me, because here we have apparently a new generation of programmers that's just doesn't know how to program anymore, and apparently also doesn't feel the need to understand what's going on that layer beneath agent and AI generated code. And so their tutor was there as well, or their professor, I don't know. And I talked to him as well, and he said, yeah, it's a real problem at the moment. 2 years ago, my students, they were still able to write code. He was pretty harsh, but 2 years ago, my students were still able to write code, and now they can't anymore. And the school was figuring out how to deal with that. And again, if it was one student or two, I could, like, I would just brush it aside, but like, it was all of them. And I just don't know how to deal with this. I heard some people say, oh, well, it's good for us, job security, right? but there is a new generation of programmers that, and I don't want to like generalize, of course, but this was a whole class. I'm curious, like, how does this go? What's going on in other schools then? But just the total disinterest in code from their side was really, staggering to me. So what I say here, honestly, it feels like the evolution of people taking on framework before getting the core principles right. I guess that will be more common now. Yeah, but maybe I'm old-fashioned, right? But I always feel that it's good to know what's going on behind the scenes, at least a little bit. You know, I had computer science in college. Well, I did a computer science degree in college. And we learned about all kinds of stuff. We learned from like assembly to operating systems to like the hardware level. Not because it was like we were aiming to understand, to get a job in that area, but still that knowledge of how things were going on behind the scenes does actually help, I feel at least, your understanding of programming and your understanding of code. And it's just totally lacking there. So with people that also start with the framework, this is a trend we've seen for years, right? I'm curious to know, maybe there are some people who feel like I'm more of a Symfony developer or a Laravel developer or WordPress developer rather than a PHP developer. If that's you, then leave your thoughts in chat about this. But I feel like there is some knowledge missing there that's actually really important to excel at your job, basically. There's a shift of people going for as long as it works rather than understanding how it works. While it's not great, it's not just code. Yeah, in a way. And I understand that for a company's point of view, you might say that as long as it works, it's fine. We're also not writing assembly anymore. We're using higher level languages, which are less optimized compared to, you know, whatever you do on the lower level. But I feel that when things go south and you run into problems, a basic understanding of what's going on behind the scenes can actually mean the difference between coming to a solution or not. And these students are the perfect example. They weren't able to fix their broken Christmas card generator. And then what? They were just stuck. So imagine them working at a company where they end up with a broken Christmas card generator. Like how long will they keep a job if they aren't able to at least make something that works? So yeah, Joris here, even if it did work using vibe coding, working does not mean secure. Yeah, and that you are touching on a very important topic as well. Actually, let me make it a bit bigger here. That getting something to work is usually the first step. Like, for example, yesterday on stream, we coded this, we had Junie vibe code a lot of methods for us, right? And it was very boring code, and I'm happy that I got to automate some of these parts. But then the generated core code, I actually spent an hour or two later in the day to go through all that code to make it consistent with my coding style, because things got messed up anyway, to fix some bugs. I think I discovered 2 issues of things that actually didn't work as intended, you know. And yeah, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so what I mean to say is, getting it through working phases should, at least from my opinion, should only be the first step, and then there's so much work to be done. What about maintenance as well during the years? If you work in real life projects, they don't just go away after you've pushed it to production, right? Thought that even with vibe coding, you really need to specify the project coding style rules for it to generate somewhat consistent code, which seems hard if you don't know how to code. Yeah, interesting. But even circling back to yesterday with my small Juni sample, I actually provided some examples. I had written 10 methods, both testing methods and implementations up front, and I said, okay, now implement all the rest based on these examples. And still there were inconsistencies there. So it's like bread. There's milk bread and artisanal bread. Okay, yeah, to some degree I can agree there. But I don't know if you cannot eat the bread, if the bread doesn't, like, if I don't know if it's toxic or if it's just like hard as a brick or something like that, then I mean you have a bread but it has no value, right? And I feel like I'm talking about students, right? Not about programmers in general. Like I was able to save some time using Juni, but that's only because I had some background knowledge there and I knew how to then take the next steps. Adrian here. I'm a Laravel dev with a deep understanding for PHP because I started working with PHP Profession when it was common to have PHP and PHP 3 files in the same folder. Yeah, you're old. That's basically what you're saying, Adrian. By the way, where is your name, Adrian? Your name is gone. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. But you are assuming incorrectly. Writing code and building products is way different. I think vibe coders build products. If you want to work as an engineer, then coding is a skill that is still needed. Okay, so interesting. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? What you mean with that? Because building products and being engineers, that there is some overlap, I find. Especially when the products that are built don't work. I'm not generalizing here. I'm very specifically talking about this new generation of programmers, and I wish that I had some. Well, I had a long conversation with this group of 15 students afterwards, and I tried to understand them, but I couldn't give them any any answers or any proper advice besides maybe it would be good to understand what's going on beneath so that you wouldn't be blocked with your Christmas card generator. Vibe coders are going for the quick win rather than the typical well thought out outcome. For them, AI wrote the code means that AI can fix it no matter how long it takes. But isn't that the whole premise of AI, that it makes you faster? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm again looking at it from my point of view. While developers exist and new technology is shiny, repeat errors learned before. Yes, to some degree, of course, but it does worry me if there is a new generation, like a whole, again, circling back to those students, that it was the whole group that's I think what surprised me the most. I'm currently using it this way. I should check my code instead of me checking the AI's generated code. Yes, and this is also what I've come to appreciate about more AI-driven development. As long as it serves me instead of the other way around, I'm super, super happy with it. And it actually saves me a lot of time. For me personally, that's single line completions, small blobs of code, using AI chat usually or agents to properly understand what's going on, to summarize external code, stuff like that. It's really good. So yeah, as long as it serves me. Do you want to be a craftsperson or work in a factory? Can you transition to a craftsman later if you don't have the basic understanding? Well, I think you can always, I'm sorry, I have to drink a little bit. You can always learn, right? You're never too old to learn. For example, I'm in my second year of music school right now. I'm there with some teenagers learning the basic of music notation and stuff like that. So you're never too old, but it doesn't get easier, to be honest. I think being in college or in school in general is like the prime time to actually do these things and lay a foundation, because it's not gonna get easier afterwards, I think. At least from my experience. AI makes you faster to start, but once things go south, then that shifts. Actually, let me grab something here. I have just hang on a second. Let me find it real quick. Because I don't want to spoil my whole presentation. Can I? Oh yeah, I'll just screenshot it. So there was this study from Stanford. Okay, let's do it that way. Okay, there was this study from Stanford recently, and they analyzed a huge amount of code from I think it was like up to 400 or 800 companies, private code bases, millions of commits going back to 3 years, and they did a lot of like analytics on that existing data. And actually, let me first show you this one. This is so this is a sketch, but there are some I'll actually show you the link in a second. But so this is the period when these companies didn't use AI, and this is where they started to use AI. And you can see there is some kind of productivity gain, and the study focused on measuring that output accurately to be able to you know determine what kind of output in a code base is productive, is valuable, stuff like that. Again, I'll link to it in a second. Hang on. They also noticed that the amount of time you spend on reworking code increases, but still there is an increase with AI. And then they also tried to map the project maturity and task complexity and how much productivity gain you get from AI. And this, like the greenfield low task complexity part, clearly showed a lot more, a bigger increase compared to brownfield, like long running projects with high complexity tasks. And actually, if you want to, now I'm, what's new over here? Things talk. There's this page. Oh, it's slow. What happened? Oh, okay. If you go to this URL, there are some links here, and I think it's this one. Yeah. So there is this talk. It's only 20 minutes long. It's super interesting. It's from Stanford University, and they did a very insightful study about what I'll copy this link about the use of AI and how it increases productivity. Let me share it over here and there as well. So if vibe coding ever becomes a primary way, this is annoying, to code software, I'll probably quit the profession and go open up real world physical business. I'm not sure if real world physical businesses are all that fun either, but and by the way, real world program is very real world as well, but I understand what you mean. The issue, Binary Kitten says, a great username, is that we're telling new developers that AI is the way of the future. We, the senior generation, are no longer shepherding the next generation. Oh, that's interesting. So it's a matter of education, proper education basically, you're saying. I'm not 100% sure of the ontology of vibe coding yet. What does ontology mean? I can't see a future where regardless of how many correct line of code vibes generate, you still have to become intimately acquainted with all of them. And yeah, so yesterday, I minimize all of it, yeah. Yesterday we did this, we wrote a lot of vibe coded stuff over here. I think it generated like 400 lines of code, something like that. Yeah, all of this was generated by Junie. And there are very similar methods, and it's very boring code to write. And I'm happy I didn't have to write it by hand. But then afterwards, actually, it also generated all the tests. But afterwards, I had to go through all of that manually to fix details. But I had to make sure that the thing actually did what I wanted to. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this over here, so I don't have to minimize my my stuff all the time. Are you talking about engineering students not being able to code, or are you talking about random students vibe coding? Because I do think there is a place for vibe coding. I'm talking about engineering students. I'm talking about they were second or third year computer science students studying to become front-end engineers. So there's that. And they weren't able to complete their project because they couldn't figure out their AI coded project. YouTube chat has a bad limit. I had to split my comments over 2 messages. Where's your second match? Oh, over here. Leaning on the... Oh, hang on. We're telling new developers that AI coding is the way of the future, and we're no longer shepherding the next generation. So they are... Hang on. Where's your second? They are leaning on the new tech, and it's not giving them the understanding of why things shouldn't do that. Yeah. I agree. AI is a cool technology, but the main issue is the first person who said that it could be used for coding. That person shot the world in the foot. I don't know. I mean, if that first person didn't do it, probably 100 others would do it afterwards. So I don't think we can give credit to one person coming up with the idea. This is just the nature of people trying to find it's water the path of least friction, basically, while we're following the path of least friction. Vibe coders want to do everything with AI and do not seem to know the obvious tools, like using Junie, waiting lots of energy instead of a simple find and replace. Are you referencing to my mess up yesterday, Joris? But this is actually like, it's a good example because I had this happen to me yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, I need to rename all these methods. And I asked Junie, and it took 5-10 minutes. But it was, and I eventually stopped it, and I just did the replace, and it was fixed in 5 seconds. Yeah, so a good example, and actually interesting, don't you think? How I would consider myself not a vibe coder and a rather, not super, an experienced developer. I hope I can say that. And even I, starting going down the vibe coding path, forgot to actually use the tools I already knew about. That's interesting. Maybe that's what people are referring to when they mention brain rot or things like that. So yeah, I wish when I was sitting down with these students, I really wish I could better understand them. And I actually thinking of going back there, maybe attending some of their classes to further interact with them. I know I don't really know their tutor, but I know people who know him. So, I mean, there was some acquaintance there. And I just want to better understand them, because the thing that Binary Kitchen mentions here, the senior generation shepherding the next generation, maybe there is some truth in there as well. And we all have a responsibility there. I know I personally have always liked educating, so maybe that for me that's not too difficult. Maybe it is for many people. I'm not sure about that. So yeah, interesting, right? I feel like people are now quiet in chat. So maybe all thoughts have been shared about it. That was it was really good. If you have some more thoughts, now is the time, or else we'll switch to doing some coding, non-vibe coding this time, and see what we what we can crank out for the rest of the stream. So yeah, really interesting. You know, I'll keep the chat open so we can still come back to it afterwards if you want to. Context switch for a second. We were writing this testing framework a couple. Oh no, now there are no more chat messages. First. Oh yeah, okay, no. This is really annoying with the streaming stuff. You there's like the 20-second delay, right? Okay, so Psychopath, I will hate you. No, I won't hate you. I know you do a lot of AI generated code, but it feels like you actually review it afterwards. Maybe this is a good question for you. Like you send a lot of contributions to Tempest as well. Do you actually review your code after it's been generated? Because I assume you use AI tools, and that's fine, but it doesn't feel like super AI generated. It actually feels like thought through. Okay, so AI and LLMs have created the perception of triviality of our and many others' craft. Interacting with people that think programming is easy because they have ChatGPT these days is mentally draining. So this mentally draining part, I get it to some extent. I also don't like. I think you see a lot of like friction between AI skeptics and AI lovers. And I think, circling back to what Binary Kitten was saying about shepherding, I think it's more valuable to actually try and shepherd people with different opinions. Shepherd is maybe not the right word, but mentoring, from a senior point of view then. But I get the mentally draining part. I did have a lot of times where I felt mentally drained about it as well in the past year, actually. Again, that's kind of what my talk is about, and I will post it on this YouTube channel at some point, but not right now. Okay, I think there is a problem how to learn coding now with AI, become an expert rather than prompt engineer. These are two different things, right? But I think as a programmer, AI is a really valuable tool. I mean, I also use an IDE, right? I don't code in Sublime anymore. I used to code in Sublime for years, but using the tools at our disposal to make us more productive, there's nothing wrong with that, I think. But you still have to have that basic understanding. Was recently debugging a WordPress plugin, Woo Text Calculators. Cursor was almost useless. The one thing it was good for, version inc, rezipping the plugin and committing with a commit message. Yeah. And this circles back to this graph. This one, I feel, where and again, this was based on a study from Stanford University, examining like huge amounts of code from real projects, private code bases. And I think we're just in this section here where we're into brownfield territory and complex tasks. In WordPress's case, I think many things become complex because of its internal architecture. So you just don't get much value. May I recommend tackling Advent of Code? No, I don't want to. I'll write a testing framework instead. What is the problem, though, with people hitting a roadblock with vibe coding? Now, Sam, I wouldn't say there is a problem necessarily, but we're talking about a young generation who will get into the job market in X amount of years from now. If they're not able to debug problems to some extent, whether those problems were handcrafted or vibe coded, that doesn't matter. If they're not able to have that kind of level of independence, then you're just not really a valuable asset to companies. I've opened 11 pull requests on Tempest. Found a nasty bug in the cache that needs a bit of input. Yeah, I'll check it out. Psychopath, I review everything for sure. I also tend to steer Claude during generations and actively cancel the work if it does dumb things. Yeah, that's and I think that's what I noticed with your work. You're still in charge, right? What's your take on a true async RFC? Hang on. I'll circle back to that. Hello, Komar. Good day. When will PHP Storm support 8.5? It already does support 8.5. Just update to the latest 25.2 version or use the release candidate. But 8.5 support is already in 25.2 and 25.3 is releasing, I think, somewhere next week. So yeah. I saw in Laracon, devs said they use NeoVim and Sublime. How is this possible? Everything's possible, to be honest. But I was one of these people who used Sublime as a text editor for years, and I actually encountered a lot of friction when I first tried out PHP Storm because it was such a in my mind, bloated, overcomplicated tool, and I had to learn it. But then at one point, I just decided to invest the time to properly learn it, and that actually really helped me. But it needed you need to get through that. There is a book that calls it the suck zone, like the part that just sucks and is full of friction, when you're learning something new, and when you get through that, it becomes super productive. But you need to invest that time. My brother is a woodworker, and he has these like super complex tools that he uses to make furniture, I think, whatever he makes, and he had to learn how to use this, and it's not super simple, to be honest. I was building a very simple cabinet myself a couple months ago, and I got to borrow some of his equipment, and he explained how to use it. And then still it needed time. I actually messed it up 2 times, and I had to redo it from scratch 2 times to build this cabinet. It was really, it was something. I'll stick with coding for now, but you need time you need to invest time to become good at something. And I feel like many people don't want to invest that amount of energy going through that friction. So yeah, that's my opinion. Hang on, the true async RFC. This is a real rabbit hole. Maybe I should do a live stream about that another time. But it's interesting, right? I have so many thoughts about it. Actually, no, I'll come back to it at a later point because it's gonna diverge too much from the topic right now. I have to stop myself before I. Vibe coding works really good if you have good automated tests and good automated code styling. It solves most of the problems. So interesting, yeah. I'm curious to know then, Bob, what kind of projects you work on, because it's I definitely get it for some use cases, but I haven't had this experience myself in many other cases. So again, circling back to my my chart over here, but using AI to onboard fast for old as the hills legacy applications. I work from home, so it's great to have an assistant, and this is something I think AI is really good at to read code for you and summarize it and help you, guide you along the way, because that's exactly what it was trained for, pattern matching on large blobs of text. And but this means you are still in control. For me, that is kind of a difference with vibe coding. As with any tools, you need to learn how to use them correctly to get most from it, like Xdebug versus DD. So yeah, you're summarizing my thoughts, but I do want to make a side note here. I use Xdebug, I use DD or LD in my case, but they're, in my opinion, are some real blockers for Xdebug. It's clunky to set up. I wish it was easier, but it's just it should just be, honestly, using Xdebug should just be pressing this button. And yeah. Oh, maybe this is easy. No, this is a new, hang on. This is a new PHP installation. So I don't think there's Xdebug installed, which is why it's just doing. There are a couple of steps to basically what I'm saying actually is Xdebug should just be built into PHP. Honestly, I so wish it was just bundled with PHP, and that it was as easy as just plug and play. No configuration, nothing needed, just works out of the box, which is the case for many languages and not for PHP. I also dislike that there is still a noticeable performance decrease when you have Xdebug enabled. Try to run Composer up while Xdebug enabled and you'll notice what I mean. But luckily you can toggle it off and on. So we actually did a lot of research from the PHP Storm side on how we could make it easier to integrate Xdebug, to have even less friction there. And to just have it be like, press this button and be done. Actually, now I do wonder now, a tester, hang on, tester test. Let me, yeah, no, it isn't installed. Actually, I think then we should get an error or something like that. Anyway, oh, yeah. Colleges never provide the necessary coding expertise. That was always out there in the wild up for grabs. Just because they are in final years of college wouldn't make them an engineer. Interesting point of view. Yeah, I'm not sure. I like to think that people who decide to spend 3 years or more on higher education at least get something out of it. Now I always have this analogy, right? That I live in Belgium, so I had 11 years of French in school from when I was 10 until last year of college. Is that 11 years? I think that's 11 years. And I can barely speak a full sentence of French. And the reason for that is very simple. It's just because we never put it into practice. And that's a real shame. Because is the latency better here? Yeah, the latency on Twitch is a lot better. But that's a real shame because, you know, I now run into people who have French as their main language, because I live pretty close to Brussels, so you just get a lot. Belgium is like split in half, a French part and a Dutch part, and Brussels is like in the middle. So it's a real shame that I'm not able to talk to them fluently in their own language. And I find it like, why did I spend 11 years in school learning French if I can't even speak a full sentence of French? So, and that's just so unfortunate. I think it's a sign of the schooling system lacking, rather than anything like just accepting that colleges never provide the necessary coding experience. No, that shouldn't be the case. That I don't think we should just accept that. But yeah, to become an engineer, programming and systems are a skill that needs time, but you need to put it into practice. Then, you know, you might as well do 3 years of just practicing programming. Why not? Imagine that. 3 years of school just programming. These would be the best programs in the world, honestly. I want vibe coding to exist, so my dad and my mom can make simple life improving apps, but I wouldn't call them engineers. Yes, but that just, I don't disagree with you there. That's not the target group I'm talking about. So Binary Kitten sort of agrees, but the issue there is that the big difference between syllabus and current stage is a large gap. Yeah, so it feels like colleges and universities are always like 10 years behind. True. I remember we started looking into AngularJS while and then a year later or something, it was like totally outdated and just nothing anymore. And at school, it was like, oh yeah, this is the next big thing. that was kind of unfortunate, yeah. So yeah, but I don't want to accept that just as a reality. I don't know. That's then yeah, we shouldn't waste 3 years of our lives just studying for nothing. So, okay, we were talking about our testing framework, right? And yesterday I wanted to add TeamCity output. So by default, the output, I'll do the verbose output. It looks like this, right? Just a console output. But we want a TeamCity version because then it can integrate with PHP Unit via a plugin. So I'm going to ignore chat for a second now. I want to finish my thought here. So apparently this is the format that's needed for that. There is some documentation here, and what I did, let's see, we have TeamCity output here. So we just built these messages, and I was thinking about how to further clean this up. So our test runner is event driven, but these outputters, there's a technical reason for it. There is the event listener basically. Let's see, what was it called? Output listeners. So these are the event listeners, and they just pipe it through the output because you want to be able to change the output, right? And if so you need one entry point, basically one event listener, and then change it to the right output. And then the output class or logger or whatever you want to call it is decided based on whether this TeamCity flag is added or not. That's basically how it works. So I was just thinking how I can improve this. And I think one thing I want to add is TeamCity. I don't know a good name. Maybe I can ask AI. Let's call it payload for now. And it has and I'm gonna over-engineer this a little bit because I just like doing that. TeamCity. What's it called? Message. That's what message name. Message name. Oh, it should have been an enum like this, and then TeamCity message, right? And then we'll have an interface converts to TeamCity message, something like this, and a interface, and we'll have public TeamCity message get on that interface. And then the message itself has a TeamCity message type, a name, and then an array of parameters basically, and that we have to parse into a string. That's the idea, and then I can just clean it up a little bit. That's what I want to do here. Oh, bonjour, Jean-Marc. See, that's the only French I know. Kind of. So now let's see. We'll make this a string back to enum, and we'll say test suite started. Test suite finished. Oh, come on. Finished. Actually, let's make a list here of the message names that are available. Test started. Flow started, we don't need that. Test started. Test finished is something we need. And then test failed is there as well. Test ignored. Isn't there like a good list somewhere of types? Test failed. I think that's about all the ones we need for our use case. Oh, actually, I need to do it like this. Oh, maybe there's a shortcut to convert it to upper snake case. Test suit finished. Test started. Test finished. And then ignored. You know, I could use AI for this. But wouldn't it, I feel like it would have taken longer to write a prompt and wait for it. Why no vibe code, James? Because you have to rewatch the start of the stream. What are we building or testing today? Well, we're continuing our testing framework. And what we're doing is add TeamCity output support so that we can have like PHP Storm integration, basically. So that's it. Yeah, we'll keep that for now. And now we have our test failed event, which can implement converts to TeamCity message. And then we'll say new TeamCity message. And then TeamCity message name. This is, what is this? Failed. And then parameters, I'm not sure yet. Well, we can add name here for sure. Like so. Okay. The tab completing is good at picking up patterns. What I usually do in this situation is I paste in what I want in comments to the first one as an example. Yeah, I should have done that actually. That would have worked for sure. Okay, so now we need to repeat this for our implements TeamCity. I need a better name. Can someone come up with a better name for this one? Converts to TeamCity message. I don't really like that. Test suit finished, and it doesn't have any parameters. Actually, I'm going to do it like this, and of course it should be private. Yep, okay. Test run started is test suit started. Implements. Oh, there it was. Converts to TeamCity message. Good. It's a suit. Did I write suit wrong? Test suite, yeah. Is it though? Hang on. No, it's sweet. It was correct. Suit is right. Oh, I'm saying it right. Wrong. Okay. So what should it be? Test suite. Because I was saying suit. English. You know, 11 years of English in school, and even then, I'll write it like this. What do you think? Test suite. Then there's no. I don't know where my keyboard is in the wrong place. Yeah, let's just keep it like this. Then I'll remember test suite started. This is why I call it test run instead of suite. Chunked doesn't matter. Skipped implements converts to TeamCity. AI will learn from it if I do that. You know, yeah. That's fine. That's fine. It better does. Test. What was this? Ignored. Yes. and then test started. Ooh, no, wrong. Ooh, here we go. Implements converts to TeamCity. Thank you, AI, because I already forgot what I called it for the 5th time. Test started, and then test succeeded as well is test finished. The thing is with test succeeded, no, with test failed, actually, you still need to call finished. So actually what I need to do is I need another event. I need another event called test finished. Test finished. That will, what was it called? Yeah, and then we do stop propagation. There's a reason for that. Not going into that right now. I had an API tell me something was haywire, but that there were no errors today. I'm still scratching my head at that one. Poison the AI. Yeah, haywire is a movie. Maps to TeamCity message. Think with a mapper. Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to put in the mapper in here. That's just gonna overcomplicate stuff, to be honest. Okay, so I need to my test finished, and then test succeeded actually doesn't need this one, and that's good. Let's see, run test now, because we need this new event new test finished, like so. That should work. Actually, test finished, let me also dispatch to parent process. And I know I can, oh, I could just deserialize. Yeah, okay, good. Let's see. So I just noticed the comment about AngularJS coming in. I suppose you're rewatching the old part of the stream then, because I think that was like 15 minutes ago. But yeah, very good. Yeah, okay, sorry, got distracted again. Okay, so we have our TeamCity messages implemented. Now we can go to our TeamCity output, and we can just do event message. We'll rename this because TeamCity message. That makes a lot more sense. And we can basically do that for all these events now, which makes it a bit more. Test succeeded, we don't need. Oh yeah, now we need like this and like this. We need to improve this, but that's probably not going to happen today. That's going to be for another time. On test finished, we'll say test, because I don't want to do all of this basically, but I need, yeah, just not now. First we do, yeah, we do whatever we do. Return. Okay, so in this case we don't, for default output we don't need to do anything, and then for TeamCity output we do actually on test finished. Ooh. Ooh. Hang on. Oh no. No. I forgot my, see, this is muscle memory. I forgot my keyboard shortcut and I cannot remember it for now. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's no. Okay. We'll do the same over here, like so. Okay. This is good. I think there was one more thing missing. Yeah, output listeners over here. Now we need to add our public function on test finished. This is the actual listener, right? Event mark it as an event handler, and this output on test finished. And so, like I mentioned, I want to refactor all of this because it can be super much simplified, but I just haven't had the time to do that. But maybe that's that's something that we'll do on the next stream. So I guess I missed it, but what is TeamCity? TeamCity is a JetBrains thing, and it's like TeamCity. Oh, but this is the on-premise. Anyway, it has this output for tests, and if you implement this with let's see, with your test runner, then that output can be parsed by PHP unit. Let me give you an example. New window over here. If you go to, if you, for example, run these tests, which now, yeah, okay. So basically this is what you want, right? And this is powered by TeamCity, by the TeamCity integration. If you do like vendor bin PHP unit, I think it's TeamCity as well. Let's see, then it will give that same output, right? Finished. So yeah, I don't know how much we must implement for it to work. I have read through the docs. So yeah, but we'll just get started with it, right? And then we'll see. The good thing is now that we have our TeamCity message, we have a single place where we can actually return sprint, and then we'll say, so it should look always like this. Like so, and then every parameter is basically another part. So we'll do this. That was like a very weird AI generated this name value, weird AI generated thingy. And then we'll say this parameters, and we'll map them. And this is an array with string basically. We'll say function string value string key, and it should look like key equals value. I think that was the, yeah. And then we'll implode on space basically. So if we now run TeamCity, okay. Oh yeah, we'll say name equals, right? Name equals. No, actually, no, that's not correct. This is the name here is like the message name, right? Let's see. And name is just a parameter that we still need to provide because we still need to implement. Hang on. Yeah. Oh no, we already did. Test finished. That's just okay. No, then something is wrong over here. Yeah. Test started. Let's see. Maybe just I forgot to. Yeah, okay. This is fine. And then test finished. Where's my test? Oh, just forgot to add the data. Test run ended, doesn't need anything for now. Actually, it also needed a name, right? Test suite started needs a name, but there aren't like any. I'll just do it like this for now. We don't have different test suites. Okay, the test finished. That's all fine. And then test failed also has the name. Just making sure skipped. Let's see, tester. Okay, skipped. Is there somewhere skipped? No, it's annoying. Yeah, there should be skipped, and they're probably there. No, they're not. Why aren't skipped tests? Oh, ignored. Of course. It's ignored. Okay. So that's cool. For failed specifically, we need some more information, I think. Message and details. Failed. Test failed. We have a reason there. So let's use that as the message. And then I don't know if details contain detailed information on the test failure. Typically a message and an exception. So let's just do details this location for now. You can always improve that, of course. And let's actually now make a test fail. Let's see, just over here. Fail now, and then we'll do test fail, and then we can. Okay, so that's all ignored, and then over here is failed with the name. Why is there a curly bracket there? Oh, I have a curly bracket somewhere, I think. TeamCity message. I have a curly bracket. Okay. So I also do want to test this, but the problem is I don't yet have a tester for my console stuff. So that's gonna have to wait. But I think this is good. I'm happy with this. Okay, so now we still have some time. Circling back to those event listeners, I really want that to be easier. So my original idea, and this is actually what I want, but it's just, I don't know. So I want output logging basically to be event driven and have a default implementation here with event handlers. And if you want to override one specific output thingy in a package or on the project level, you can just implement that one event handler, right? The problem is we need to, with TeamCity, we need to like completely have like another implementation. And I'm just not so sure how I can do that, because if you add just another event listener, it will output two things, because that's event, right? An event can have multiple listeners, which is why this stops propagation attribute is here. Currently, I don't actually need it anymore. And stops propagation means the first time an event is handled, then it will stop propagation. So let's say we have our default implementation here, and then on the project level, you have, for this one specifically, you have another handler. Then whenever test failed is triggered, it will first use the project level handler, and then it will stop propagation and nothing more will happen. So yeah. Side note here, congrats on roughly 2K downloads on packages the last 30 days. Do you have any idea how many Tempest apps are in production? I don't suppose Tempest... Oh, I can actually show it here. I don't suppose Tempest has telemetrics. No, Tempest doesn't. And... and I know from some people on the Discord server that they are using... Sorry, I'm also looking for it. Yeah, I know from the Discord server that they that some people are using it for small hobby kind of style projects. I myself am doing that as well for Stitcher and Aggregate, which is okay. It's here again. So there's that, but. Yeah, as far as I know, no one is like using it for real big projects, which is a good thing because there is so much more work to be done. And I was actually, I was telling about working on this test runner, and Aiden, one of the core members, he said like, yeah, that's a distraction because it's probably more useful to work on other things, but I like doing this now. So consider this my advent of code. It's actually why I want to stream every day for the coming, what's it called? Coming 2 weeks. Try to stream. By the way, Friday I will stream with Nuno again in the afternoon, for me, my afternoon. And I have no clue what we'll talk about. But Nuno and I will be streaming. So Friday won't be a stream on here, but will be on Nuno's channel. Just FYI, if you want to know. But if all goes well, tomorrow I'll be streaming as well. Okay, so back to our event handlers. Yeah, I was running into this because now I have default output and I have TeamCity output, both on the package level, and you need to like based on what based on which that flag that's passed or not, you should switch. Use another like totally different event listener, and I just don't really know what a good approach is to fix that. I'm sorry, I'm like so many thoughts racing through my head. First, I'm going to do that tester test fail now test that can be gone. But then, and so this is an interesting Tempest problem because of discovery, basically. I kind of find it, what's stupid is that my solution for now is that I added an interface, test output, right? Which basically is used by the listener. So we only have one listener, and the concrete output class is switched based on the flag that's passed here. Like this is what's happening here. Oh, actually, this part. But the downside is that what's not possible anymore now is to hook into one specific, well, actually it still is, but is to hook into one specific event. On the project level, which maybe is just overkill. Maybe no one wants to do that. But in that case, maybe what I should do is not have this one in between, because this is a really stupid class, right? And just discover these output things on my own. And I think actually that's what I want to do, I think. But then I need to find a way to get the right one. But that should be possible. So let's look into that. So we have how will we do this? We'll make a output discovery for now. Implements discovery, and then use is discovery like so. Okay, and so what do we want to discover? Anything that if class implements output test output class. Actually, I'm gonna naming. I also need to fix my naming stuff here, but okay. If it implements, then we'll say this discovery items add location and class. Okay, so and then we can move to our apply over here. Constructs, and what do we want to do? We don't need this private read-only container. Basically, we need a container, and we need to register the right test output now based on something. So let's just very hard code it for now. So what's it called? Our argument bag. This container gets argument bag class. Oh yeah, if let's see. We only want to do this while running in console, right? So we'll say application equals this container get application, and then if not application instance of console, application will just return. Then we don't have to do anything with this. Okay, so if we are running in CLI, we'll get the argument back, and then we'll say, let's dump that out actually, because I have no idea. Cannot resolve application because at this point it is not an instantiable class, of course. Do we have argument bag? Probably not. We do. When is... There are other ways to determine whether we're running in CLI mode, of course, but let's see, application initializer. So this happens after discovery. Okay, we'll just very hard code it for now. If it said, what was it called? Arg, I don't even remember. PHP is running in console. This. If like this. Okay. And then we can dump out our argument bag, and if that argument bag, if our argument bag has TeamCity, actually, I never remember. Okay, yeah. If it has TeamCity, then we'll do something, and else we'll do something else. And what we'll do here, why replace with? Because it can return false. I don't know. So then we can run test. We can test command. We can at least remove all of this. Then move it somewhere over here. Actually, do we need to do this in the discovery level? Thank you, Joris. Maybe we can just do it with Yeah, we don't need all of this. We don't need the discovery for this. Oop. The thing we need is just a output initializer, even just initializer. Test output. That's actually test output initializer. Yeah. Why was it going the discovery route? I have no idea. So let's do it like this. Can remove this, and so TeamCity equals argument back has TeamCity container. Actually, we'll also, if now we can do it, get application class. No, instance of, not instance of console application. Then we'll return null. I think I don't actually know what would happen then. Might actually do something else there, but we'll see. So yeah, if it's not a console application, we'll return nothing. If it is a console application, then we'll we clean this up. No worries. Then we'll get the argument back, see if it has TeamCity. That's actually just, can I inline? No, I have to do it manually. Like this. If it's TeamCity, then we'll say basically all of this. And then verbose is, oh, we do need argument bag. We need this. Has verbose. Has. No. Has argument. And then we'll say container singleton output, and then we'll return the output. Actually, we don't need to do this because we'll just say singleton. But this is only the first step, actually. But taking it step by step. So what happens now? It breaks. That's fine. The logic is wrong. Oh, is it still wrong, folks? It should only run in console application. I'll find it out the hard way, but I don't understand. Maybe it was wrong before, but this is correct, isn't it? Actually, the delay on Twitch is almost nothing, so at the CLI check. But where's the CLI check? There is no more CLI check because I removed that. I removed the discovery. So, Ooh. Yeah, okay. Okay, what's the error here? Let's see. Call to undefined method has. It just has. What? Okay, so this works. TeamCity, and this works as well. Okay, so now we're handling this in an initializer. That's good. But what I actually want to do is get rid of all of this as well. Maybe. Or maybe I shouldn't now. Because it's just always one output listener. I'll move it over here as well. Maybe I shouldn't. Because, yeah, no. Why? There's no real benefit to that. Okay. And then move this over here. Okay. 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 That's better, at least, I think. Only thing I still wonder about is if you, yeah, but so these event output listeners should only register when they are running in CLI, right? And that's work in progress. That's just a feature. What we're going to do here is add a static function bool, and then container, and then you can do return container get application like this. So this is a new feature in PHP 8.5 basically, but we haven't added that in the framework yet. Okay. Yeah, okay. No. Good. Very good. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to do. And I hope, I don't know if Haven is still watching, or Mark, Psychopath, whatever your name is. I think this is what we need for the plugin. And I think there's enough information now. Maybe not. Maybe I need to add more parameters, but that should be trivial if we just know what we need. So, okay. That's good. Now I'm happy. Let's see. Was there anything more AI related? I think there was one more thing I wanted to. It's not the schooling system is broken at all. It's the will. We choose to go out of our way to learn PHP and Laravel. No college teaches Laravel. No, in Belgium actually they are using that same study I was talking about. They were teaching Laravel a couple of years ago. So I don't know if they still do, but yeah. Okay, folks. That is it for today. Wow, we covered a lot of ground here. Super insightful conversation about AI. Unfortunately, I still don't really have any answers there, especially for those young students. I need to think about this more. I think it's really important. Maybe Binary Kitten with shepherding made a good point. But yeah. So, folks, thanks for watching. Tomorrow, I think in the afternoon, my afternoon, I'll be streaming again because I have some things going on in the morning. So yeah. And then, Thor here. Do you remember the stream where you were working on the live component thing? No idea. There are more than 30 live streams for Tempest now. No, I don't know. Sorry, Thor. But you made an issue, right? I'll have to check it out. Not right now, though. But I'll try my best. Maybe I should do it tomorrow. My problem is that I'm now deep into the testing framework stuff, and I want to continue on that, So, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for pitching in. Was really good. And I'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Okay? Bye-bye.